I just wanted to respond to this question with a video because it's something I wanted to talk about anyway. Pudendal nerve blocks. And first, let me just say that I am sick with something. I have a fever, congestion, cough, sore throat. I'm kind of miserable. So I apologize for the quality of my voice and my muddled brain, but I do want to answer this question. I have had 3 pudendal nerve blocks, 3 different kinds. One was transgluteal, so it was injected kind of at the root of the pudendal nerve in my glute, in my butt cheek. And that was in a hospital, but I was fully conscious. The second one was when I was out, and it was at the ischial tuberosity. The ischial spine. So it was transvaginal. It was a needle that went in and accessed the nerve in my vagina. The third kind that I got was specifically a dorsal branch block. So the pudendal nerve has 3 branches: the perineal, the rectal, and the dorsal branch. So that innervates the clitoris or the head of the penis. And I have one just isolating that area. I feel like it numbed about 2 inches, and it did numb the area where most of my pain is coming from. So in my personal experience, and then also what I've seen a lot of, is that these blocks, some doctors say like they're going to help you, but most of the research, and also to me common sense, is saying that the administration of a local anesthetic that wears off in 24 or less hours isn't going to do anything to address the root cause of pain. So I feel like pudendal nerve blocks are diagnostic. For me, they've only been beneficial diagnostically. So they've told me that yes, this area, these nerves, when I knock them out with local anesthetic, I don't feel pain. I feel numbness instead, that is in fact where my pain is coming from. That's what is generating the pain, which is interesting to me, again, because I'm always on this. I spent years thinking it was TMS, mind-body pain, and it's like, well, if it's coming from my brain, how come a local injection of anesthetic is extremely successful in temporarily stopping the pain? No one could really answer that question for me when I asked that community how local nerve blocks work. But anyway, the idea that the steroids helping, that would only really work if you had, to me, an acute source of inflammation. Now, I got these nerve blocks after a year or 2 of having this injury, so it doesn't make any sense to me, unless there was something causing chronic inflammation, that a steroid would help at all long term. It definitely made 0 difference for me. And it's also important to note that for me, the fact of puncturing the skin, poking a needle in the trajectory of the nerve that's already sending a lot of pain signals, I did have a flare-up for a week after each of these injections, just simply, I think, irritation. And I was told, it takes 2 weeks for the steroid to kick in. And sure, that didn't happen for me. The steroid never kicked in. And that's actually been the case. I had back pain issues that I tried to treat medically 10 years ago, and I had facet joint injections, and I've had piriformis injections and a couple other locations in my spine. And again, the steroid never did anything because there was a cause to my problem always, and it wasn't acute inflammation. Now, when I threw my back out a couple years ago before this injury, that same summer, before I had this situation, I did suffer for 3 weeks. I could barely move. My back was in spasm. I'd kicked my legs out while jumping into the ocean, and nothing was really touching it or getting my muscles to release, and the inflammation was acute. And I did take a week of prednisone, and it was like magic. It worked magically. When I had sinus surgery and I was doing nasal steroids in my sinus rinse, steroids worked amazingly. So when I've had skin inflammation, when I've had poison oak, so acute, short-term inflammation, steroids work awesome. They're very effective. But for chronic pain, they've never done anything for me. And yeah, I don't understand why doctors keep saying that steroids are going to help if it's neuropathic pain in the first place and it's chronic pain. I just don't understand. And thankfully, I've seen a lot of research and doctors that are kind of speaking sense and logic, where they're like, yeah, the benefit isn't coming from the steroid. If you're getting it at all, it's coming from the local anesthetic or simply just the puncturing into the muscle around, if you have a muscle-based cause of pain, kind of if you know what dry needling is, the actual act of placing a needle into a muscle and kind of twisting it can cause a muscle twitch response that kind of releases a spastic, chronically tight muscle. I've also done a lot of dry needling. It didn't have an effect on me because my pain isn't coming from chronically hypertonic pelvic floor muscles. So yeah, this long answer to this question is that yes, I've done pudendal nerve blocks, and they only have served a diagnostic benefit for me, kind of telling me where I was feeling pain and exactly what areas were getting numbed by these different injections. I still had pain up the front from what I would say looks like the path of the genitofemoral nerve, which is another nerve that innervates the clitoral area, and that's where I had the surgery that left me with pain, where I now think I have a neuroma. So that actually checks out completely, that when I had my pudendal nerve blocked, I would still be feeling pain along the genitofemoral tract because that nerve didn't get blocked, and that is the other nerve that innervates the area that I think I have a neuroma that's generating my pain. So if you're in a place where you don't know what's causing your pain and you don't even know if it's the pudendal nerve at all, based on various things, maybe you don't have the nantis, I don't know how to pronounce that, nantis criteria all checked out, maybe you would want to get a pudendal nerve block for diagnostic purposes to confirm that this nerve is in fact the generator of your pain. That might be useful information, but in terms of having super high hopes for it like being curative, I'm sorry to say, like, personally wouldn't pin my hopes on that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense scientifically to me, unless your pain is coming from tight muscles and the act of the needle is going to be releasing them. But that's just my opinion. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of like solid in agreement research on this. And I disagree with some of the research which says that steroids are some miracle cure for neuralgias. I don't think that's true at all.